Uh, Most people listen to this on the replay, but for those who are here live, it is the day after Election Day, and we are moving on with 2020. We can see the end of 2020 from here, and that is good news. And I am really excited. The person who's going to lead us into 2020 and through 21, and maybe beyond, Ron O. He is our incoming chair. And Ron, if you want to wave, we'll get to you in just a minute. I want a couple of quick things in the industry. We're going to try to keep today's podcast to about 30 minutes, and really try to provide great content of where the industry is going and what things might look like under Ron's vision for your association. A couple of things that I do kick the meetings off with the state of the industry and the state of the virus. On the virus, it's been a tougher month. We were seeing last time we talked the numbers coming down, and we were seeing a reason for hope in where we might be headed. And then the numbers have continued to go up. And so we are now right around 140 cases for the last, for new cases in the last, per 100,000 in the last 14 days. And we really wanted that number to head towards 25. The good news in that number, if there is good news, you have to find that there's some water in the glass somewhere, is that the cases are not coming from our industry, and the data is starting to emerge that if we wear masks and if we obey the no mingling rule, we're not seeing outbreaks in our industry. And so what I would plead to everyone is if you are in a restaurant or a hotel across the street, or you're talking to your peers, let's keep that number down, because we're going to get ready to start reversing the narrative that hospitality is a dangerous place to be, because we're just not finding that. We are seeing around less than 1% of cases are tied back to hospitality so far in the data collection. And that 1% is always because someone broke the rules of, they weren't really tough on their employees of wearing masks, and they weren't really obeying the no mingling rule. In fact, a chunk of them have been karaoke, that someone's still doing karaoke and have gotten multiple people sick. And that's typically where we see the larger outbreaks versus 1 or 2 or 3. So please follow those. If nothing else, be really, really diligent on those 2 rules. Let's bring the numbers down. I think the other thing I would ask the industry to be aware of is be in touch locally. Your local governments are coming to the end of their CARES Act funding, and they need to spend it by the end of the year. And so many counties are doing programs kind of popping up suddenly and putting something together quickly. And you will have a short 10-day window to apply for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 grants or unique programs designed for hospitality. So if nothing else, keep an eye on your county council as they make announcements here in the next 4 or 5 weeks. With that, I think one of the things that people ask me most often is, as the rest of the nation heads towards closing down, and we've seen that in Michigan, we've seen Utah, we've seen other areas of shutting back down, is Washington headed the same way? This is a numbers game, folks. So to the degree that we can lead by example and get the message out to wear masks, I think the governor's office is feeling like we are doing our part. We are seeing good compliance in our area, but it will be a number-driven decision. And so we can impact that number by letting everyone else know the keys to keeping the virus down. Beyond the virus numbers, we are closing out our 2020 year, thank goodness. And with the start of November, introducing our new chair, Ron O. Ron has been a board member since day 1 of the merger and been on the lodging board before that. He was also a chair for a lot of years, Ron. I think you did such a good job, they never want to let you go of the Korean lodging, or the KAHOA, Korean American Hotel Owners Association. I always have to say the acronym and then spell it out. and really organized that group in a fantastic way for Korean hotel owners to have a voice and get involved and be engaged and support each other. And now he's bringing that same passion to us. Ron, thanks for stepping up. Thanks for being a leader, and welcome to the CEO podcast this month.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So the lodging industry knows you well, but for those in the entertainment or the other sides of restaurants may not know you as well. Can you give us a long elevator ride speech on who Ron O is and your passion for hospitality?
Okay, well, I actually started in full service hotel, so restaurant and lounge, and it was a family business down in Oregon. And basically, I've definitely had my experience with the restaurant side. And for everyone that just solely operates restaurants, kudos to you, because that's a tough business. So I always say, like, the difference between a limited service hotel and a full service hotel is full service hotel with the restaurant and lounge has double the number of times the headache. So, but definitely, I've worked the line. I've worked cooked. I've worked cooked the line, and I've also served and helped out wherever I can. You know, it's like I've been a part of this industry for going on 24 years now, and it's part of my blood and who I am. How I got connected to the association, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't very involved until, Seattle started pushing the $15 minimum wage. And, it's like, I was like, before I was probably one of the reticent people that were just like, oh, there are other people that can fight that, or it's inevitable. And basically, it's like I was kind of complacent, and, I admit that. But then $15 minimum wage was hitting with like almost a 70% increase in wages in Seattle, and not to mention payroll tax on that. And I kind of freaked out. I was like, whoa, I need to step in. We need to start fighting this. It's like, who can I contact? Who's fighting this? And, that's how I got in contact with the Lodging Association. And, it's like once I became part of the Lodging Association and the merger with the Restaurant Association, I just started becoming part of more and more committees, from Government Affairs, Member Services Corporation, and Members Committee, Committee. I've been on a bunch of stuff like working on the insurance program, and it's like I basically haven't been able to get enough of the association, because I found out that it's like, whoa, these are people that are organized together that are actually fighting for us, for me. And I was like, well, it's like I fight for myself, so the best way to fight for myself is fighting, using the association and becoming a part of it and seeing if we can make some changes. So it's been honestly one of the greatest experiences I've had in this industry, and I really cherish my relationship with all the great staff, and Anthony's been wonderful. So I am very honored that I'm being, I'm in the chair position, and my hopes are to do the very best that I can for the industry.
So Ron, I can't. The team is also really excited to have you come on board, and your energy, and then there's a lot to talk about. But I think what people most are probably, let's get off with the biggest question of people would have for you is, your chairmanship is coming at a time like none other for the industry. Whether you're in restaurants, bowling alleys, hotels, right? Hopefully, this is a once in a lifetime event that's occurring. What do you anticipate being your biggest challenges as chair? And then I'm going to follow that up with what would you most like to accomplish in this next year to 2 years under your chairmanship? But let's start with the challenges. We're asking you to step out at a tough time. What do you anticipate being your biggest challenges as the chair?
I think the entire year 2020 has been a challenge for everybody, from fires to protests to rioting to, the small little pandemic that we're dealing with. Restaurants, a complete shutdown in the industry and the state. It's been a traumatic year for everyone. But one thing I always try to think of is the Chinese language actually writes crisis. It's a combination of two words. The first word is danger, and the second word is opportunity. So I also think this is a time for opportunity for us as an association. I know we're going through a lot of difficulty, but it's also a time for us to build our relationships with the Washington state government, the legislature, and the governor. And Anthony has definitely been doing that, and the whole GA team has been doing that, where in the past there was a lot of animosity. It's like there's a lot of, no, you can't do this, we're not your piggy bank. Now, it's like I think over the last 4 years, we've been working on just really building those relationships and allowing people to understand our industry rather than from an outside looking in. It's like we're giving more perspective on who we are and, what our businesses are. And I really want to see that. I want to see that grow with the association. I want us to continue that. And I think in this time of crisis, there's also a lot of opportunity to roll back some of the things that have been just impinging on our business. A lot of our revenues to the state are through pass-through taxes, and definitely showing the state just how much our industry impacts the budget and impacts the state. Can give them a little perspective on why we should survive, we should when we're working 90-hour weeks to put our kids through school and live our lives. We are an important industry, and we should be cherished rather than just used, right? I think the association, just as we build those relationships, it's like, and definitely like getting some of the great PR that we've been doing, it's like just trying to help people understand that we're not we're just not entire, white collar suits and tie corporations. We're not like going home and, taking baths in our money and, it's like, we're just decent people that are trying to make a living in the best way that we know how possible. I think I'd like to give more perspective.
What I heard from that was great is what you'd really like to do is end this with a much better public understanding and leader understanding of who our industry is and the reasons we pursue our dreams and those kind of things. And I think that's a great one. We do have several participants on live with us today. Many more will be listening later, but for those who are on with us live, please enter any of your questions into the chat room. Lisa, as the breaks come up in the conversations, please shout them out. So if anyone has questions for me in the industry or for Ron, and what you need him to focus on his chair and kick my butt around and make sure we stay focused, this is your association. Please ask away. Ron, you'd mentioned that before the minimum wage in Seattle and the other issues in Seattle, like many operators, you kind of stayed on the sidelines, assuming someone else was taking care of it. And then you got involved and you saw what was going on. What was your biggest surprise from going uninvolved to involved? What was your, looking back on it now, what was your moment of, I wish more operators understood X, because I had no idea before I took this step to get involved?
Really, my first real impact or impression was the first hill climb I did, where, you know, we were dealing with minimum wage. We you know, it's like, and honestly, every single person that I talked to was very cold, it was like complete stonewall. It's like, we appreciate what you're saying, but that's not going to change our opinion. And it was just, you know, it was disheartening, really. And, you know, it's like, over the last couple, the last few hill climbs, you know, it's like that's definitely changed. I think we've had there's been a change from the legislators' perspective, where the relationships were built. There was face recognition. There was like, how are you doing? What's going on? And they were willing to listen. So that first impression kind of scared me. I was like, no matter how hard we're fighting, we are losing. And, you know, definitely those were tough years. And it was,
Well, you know, I think you raised a good point, Ron, in that when I'm talking to operators about legislators, I always try to refer it to relationships, right? The vendors that you trust and you listen to their counsel are the ones that have stuck with you and been there and delivered. And I go back to my dad's restaurant days. When a new vendor would come in and try to sell our family restaurants, the door was not wide open the first. It was not, come on in, sit down, tell me about all your products. There was a prove it period where I had to know that you cared about me. I had to know that you're going to be there for my business. And legislator relationships are the same way, in that everyone's coming in and asking for legislation and bills. But who are you? Are you part of my community? Are you someone I can trust what you're saying? And so I'm glad you've had that experience, that as you've gotten more involved, you've seen the attitude towards your conversations change. And I think that's what a lot of things don't realize is, well, can't you just tell them minimum wage is bad? Or can't you just tell them that our industry is hard and stop doing these bad things? It's a relationship, and these relationships are more powerful locally. So I'm glad you saw that. Ron, I think you also come in with a unique perspective. You've really got involved in MSC. For those of you who don't know all the intricacies of the association, MSC is the committee that selects our programs that hopefully bring you great retro returns or get you great deals on your credit card processing or your healthcare, so on and so forth. And you're probably one of our first chairs in a while who really brings the perspective of, there's the government affairs side, but these programs make dues and involvement almost easy. What attracted you so much to MSC to spend the hours that you have making sure our members have great programs available to them?
Well, I got involved with MSC because you asked me to. Oh. I was like, what is MSC? I have no idea what this is. And you're like, it's great. You'll love it. We need you. So, but, you know, MSC, you know, it's like, once I actually understood what they were doing as a service for our members, you know, it's like, it's so important to the association. You know, it's like, one of the conditions of being chair was, I was like, I'm not stepping down from MSC. You know, it's like, I want to continue on with MSC. You know, it's like, I think the Member Services Corporation basically is working really hard to not only generate revenues for the association, but really return savings and impact our membership. There's, you know, it's like, just the insurance program that's just coming out is incredible. I mean, we've extreme cases, but like, we've had a member that saved 60% on their insurance premium, and the average has been 22 to 23% savings. So even in a pandemic where we're barely eking by, you know, it's like, everyone still needs to have insurance. And, you know, there's no reason why we can't go through the association, save a whole bunch of money, and also help fund our association. So it's been, you know, it definitely was eye-opening to become part of the MSC board. So.
one question you're bound to get when you're out on the trail is what specifically, like a tangible, would you hope that if you and I are talking next year at the end of your first year of being chair, that we've accomplished? What would be your stretch goal? Give me a tangible that would be meaningful to operators to say under the everyone getting involved and under the leadership. This is what I hope we could do for you in the upcoming year.
Well, maybe this isn't a stretch goal, but this is my goal, is just have as many members and their businesses survive and do well and be able to come out of this. It's like, I know this is definitely, it's been, impacting everyone's livelihoods, and, it's it's quite depressing, actually. It's like we're concerned about getting out of the situation and surviving, but I would really like to have, everyone look back and say, this, we survived. We're still here. We're strong, and we're going to continue being strong as an industry. And it's like I don't think that's a stretch goal. I think that's our goal, is to just keep everyone strong and healthy, and make sure that our businesses continue on.
We do have a question in the chat. How have you changed your business operations due to COVID guidelines?
Well, as a limited service hotel, we've been, our breakfast, of course, what we've done is we do a to-go service for our breakfast. So when our guests check in, they actually fill out a menu, and they set a time, what they want, and then my breakfast staff prepares that and packs a to-go box for them. A lot of the lodging industry has just been a matter of just trying to continue our relationships with our guests. Just trying to keep doing business and keeping alive, right? One thing also that I really want to work on that's been impacting the lodging industry has been the moratorium. It's like one thing I've done is I don't allow guests to stay more than 13 nights. So on the 13th, basically they're required to check out for 24 hours. And I wish, as a hotel, it's like extended stays are great business, they're consistent business. But as negatively as that's impacted our industry, it's like I can't allow it to happen in my hotel. So.
Ron, we got another question come in on the elections. I'll get to that in just a minute. But another question I had is, you've been a great leader in the Korean hotel side of the Korean KAHOA, Korean American Hotel Owners Association. For some reason, that's a mouthful for me. I can't tell you why. It's a simple thing, but and you've really done a great job in getting Korean hotel owners involved and engaged. What have been the barriers for ethnic leaders and ethnic business owners in hospitality and getting involved, and how can we break some of those down to make it easier for people to have a voice and get engaged?
Well, I think a lot of times Koreans and just people in general, it's like we think I think it's a Japanese saying that says the nail that stands up gets pounded down. So, it's like in a lot of ways, it's like, before, it's like us being active meant that we were calling attention to ourselves. And, attention is considered negative. So, I think overcoming that is very important, to understand that what we do makes an impact. It is not a negative thing. And, it's like as we build those relationships, we can actually do a lot to protect our businesses. So I think that's definitely been a growth period for the association, for the Korean Hotel Association.
Well, and Ron, you've had me come and speak to the organization several times, and many have got involved in the association, and that's because of your leadership. So we appreciate that very much. Had a couple of other questions come in. Lisa, what's
Yeah, we have
see the
one.
notice.
What market segments do you think will be the first to resume, business or leisure?
Definitely business. I mean, business is what's keeping lodging industry alive right now. Construction has been strong with us. We're as my hotel in particular, like the Washington DOT is coming back. Right now, we used to do a lot of business with Burlington Northern, but they were holding off until Seattle calmed down. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So that construction industry, I think definitely leisure market is going to be one of the slower returns until we get a vaccine and we develop herd immunity. But I think people need to travel. They need to use lodging, and they are coming back.
So probably the big question of the hour is on the elections. Was there another question before I answer the election question, Lisa?
Yeah, it was just one really quick question. What's the name of your hotel, Ron?
The Holiday Inn Express in North Seattle.
The elections were last night for those who are with us live. For those that, but for those who are listening later, this is the day after the election. It's the morning after the election. So the reality is, we still don't know our president. We do know our governor, but for the state Senate and the U.S. Senate, we still don't know a lot of these things. So I think at this point, we don't know the full impact. I think I can tell you one of the things I hope the impact is, now that this is behind us, is that hospitality can play a role in bringing the country together. I think we've all been disturbed by the violence, by the language around, I hate people who disagree with me, or I hate the group that's not me. And I think that's, we need our country to come together. We are hospitality, right? We are the ones who welcome people into our home. We give people a great experience. And whoever the leaders become, I think it is going to be important that we lead a dialogue in the me versus you has got to change. I do think that both sides are going to be facing budget crises and deficits. And so the issues haven't changed. But I think on the state side, we are going to be in a deficit. And there is broad recognition that hospitality needs support. And so at the next podcast, we'll probably be talking more about our legislative agenda and where it's at. But as with Ron saying, what's going to lead us back, we are seeking a large tourism investment from the state, so we can narrow that gap between now and the time that people are willing to travel. And we will see how that comes together. Other questions?
Yeah, is there any possibility to delay the salary changes with the minimum wage that are to happen on January 1? Could the message that our operators are only allowed to have 50% capacity be sold to the legislature for this delay?
So a couple things there. The minimum wage takes effect January 1. It would take an act of the legislature to meet, and we do not anticipate the legislature meeting until mid-January. So even if there was a political possibility, the operational timing is not going to occur fast enough for us to get ahead of that. So I think the answer is no. On top of that, I'm not sure the politics of Washington are going to be such that conversation is there. However, the second half of the question is where a lot of our messaging is going to be. we will be seeking major relief and major action for our industry. And part of the emphasis of that is we're operating at 50% capacity in restaurants and on lodging, with the scare of travel and with the restrictions on event space and event things. They're operating at many 30% capacity, and so that message is going to be key as we talk about things like making liquor license permanent, making changes in the property tax statute, that if we can only use 50% of our property, maybe our property taxes should be 50%. To have conversations along the lines of tourism investment and other forms of tax relief. So we are a huge part of the industry, and getting involved is going to be a part of it. And the state of our industry is going to be a big part of the conversation. Functionally, the minimum wage is going to be enacted in the legislature. We take both wings of the legislature to vote on it and change it, and then the governor to sign it. And that's not going to happen before January 1. Ron, we are coming to the end of our 30 minutes together. Lisa, before I close this out, are there any other questions in the chat that have come up?
No, not yet.
Okay. Ron, close us out today. Anything else you want to share with the membership or ask of the membership to support you in your vision for the upcoming year?
I think definitely government affairs, everyone needs to get involved. I think, it's like the town halls that we've been having have been really great. And, it's like just building those relationships with our representatives. It's like I've built up a great relationship with Representative Cindy Rue, who, through our relationship, she supported like the short-term rental bills for us and has really helped our industry. But before then, we were kind of, she was very, very liberal. So it's like when we were originally looking at which politicians the association was going to support, I actually stepped up and I said, please support her and let me build a relationship with her. And she has been, she has definitely come to bat on the moratorium on evictions. She's come up and she's actually been a lot more business friendly than she, just through the relationships. And that's really where I can ask for the support from membership, is really get involved. And the more you get involved, you'll realize that you're actually doing work for yourself and for your business. You are protecting your business, and you can actually make progress. So.
I think that's a great way to end it. And really, this is something we should excel at, Ron, is that we are the relationship business, right? We are welcoming people into our place, and introducing them to our communities, and building great relationships. If we all had one more, and that chose a legislator, get to know a legislator, and build a relationship with them as if you would build a relationship with anyone else, I think the industry would move into a lot stronger position. So Ron, thanks for that message. Looking forward to working with you in the upcoming year. And hopefully everyone who heard your message today will be getting involved in government affairs or a committee and joining you in making our industry stronger. Everyone, good luck in November. Good luck to our country in coming back together after a tough election. I will always believe this is the greatest country on earth, but it's not something we can take for granted. We all need to get involved and make it happen and be part of its constant improvement. So thanks for being part of the association, and we will look forward to talking to, I see any last question come in? Last question of the day, and then we'll say goodnight.
One last question. Is the association working with the governor's office for any property tax relief for the industry?
We did submit a list of policies we'd like the governor to consider. I do sit on the governor's economic recovery task force, and property tax relief or restructure for hospitality is in that list, and a part of the conversation we're having, along with things like unemployment insurance relief with the major increases in unemployment insurance we're facing. What can we do there? Obviously, we already talked about tourism, other form of tax relief that the state can do, and then things like third-party delivery and private and making permanent liquor delivery. It's a host of issues that will help hopefully people across the industry. And maybe by next month, we can have an update on where that agenda stands as we go into session.
One thing can I add?
Go for it, Ron.
Contest your property tax. Everyone, look at your deadline, contest your property tax, because, you know, it's like, I've heard from sources that, you know, it's like, it'll be a fight, but you'll get a discount on your property tax, hopefully. And there are groups and companies that you can use, but it's definitely worth a shot to reduce it, because our tax assessment for next year will be based off of January of this year, before COVID. So, you know, it's like it's like, according to your property tax, you're doing gangbusters in 2020, and we definitely need to contest that. And the more voices that are saying your assessment is completely wrong, the more likely we're going to get some relief. So definitely contest your property tax. I know King County's deadline is November 9th, so it's coming up quick.
Yeah, you gave everyone a great takeaway, Ron, because I know several people who've been successful in the process and normally wouldn't have even tried it. So we'll end on that great takeaway. Everyone, wear a mask, be safe, good luck, happy Thanksgiving in November, and look forward to our next call again in December.